The three-time Formula One champion Max Verstappen has shown amazing skills since his debut in Formula One. His ability to put his best foot forward in any situation is one for the books. No one can dispute his skills, but do other drivers on the grid consider him great? Well, let's take a quick look at what F1 drivers think of the Dutch driver, and we'll start with his teammate, Sergio Perez. Sergio, popularly known as Checo, became teammates with Verstappen in 2021. Both drivers soon developed a cordial relationship where they both allowed each other to thrive. But things got a bit rocky in the 2022 season when Verstappen refused to allow Checo through during a race. The Dutchman had already finished the season in the lead and could have easily let his teammate gain more points by letting him through, but he didn't. It was quite a tense moment in the team because Checo was furious and Verstappen was unapologetic.
I told you already last time, you guys don't ask that again to me. Okay? Are we clear about that? I gave my reasons, and I stand by it.
I'm sorry about that, Checo.
We'll debrief everything afterwards.
Yeah, it shows who he really is.
However, despite rumours claiming Perez was going to get replaced by Daniel Ricciardo in the 2023 season, the Mexican remained in the seat for the season. Although the tensions from 2022 seeped into 2023, it only bred healthy competition. Both men were in a severe race for the title at the beginning of the season, but it didn't last long because Verstappen went right ahead. However, their relationship is back to its usual dynamics with no contempt. In an interview held during the Qatar GP, Sergio heaped praises on his teammate while describing his incredible skills. He said Verstappen was on another level compared to the rest of the grid. Max has done a tremendous job. No credit should be taken away from the season that he has done. I think he has driven on another level compared to anyone else, and I think that's something I have a lot of respect for. Perez might have sweet words for his teammate, but there's one person who might not be as generous: Lewis Hamilton. In 2021, the rivalry between Verstappen and Hamilton intensified. They fought toe-to-toe for the championship title, but in the end, Verstappen came out victorious despite all the controversies surrounding the last race. It was particularly painful for Hamilton because the win was supposed to be his record-breaking 8th championship title, but he pushed it aside with the hope that he'll get it in 2022. Well, 2022 came and things fell apart in the Mercedes factory. Their car was a big flop and Hamilton had no chance of winning the championship title. The 2023 season saw an improvement in Mercedes' car's performance, but it was still not enough to defeat Verstappen and Red Bull, so it became harder for Hamilton to get over the opportunity he lost in 2021. In a recent interview when he was asked about Verstappen's performance, he attested that Verstappen was a great driver, but stylishly hinted that it was due to the car he was in. He also refused to rank him. I wouldn't rank him. I think ranking people is an opinion-based thing. I think he's earned his position. He's done an amazing job with the package that he has. He and the team have been phenomenal this year, faultless, and I think they've raised the bar. Since the enemy of your enemy is your friend, it's no surprise that the Aston Martin driver Fernando Alonso has only good things to say about Verstappen. It's no news that Alonso is not a fan of the British driver Hamilton, no matter the number of championship titles he has to his name. But the Spaniard completely adores Verstappen despite being rivals. In fact, their rivalry on the grid intensified in the 2023 season when Alonso put up a fight on the track with his upgraded Aston Martin car. Although his intentions to defeat the Red Bull driver fell short, he only had praise for him when he was asked what he thought of the Dutch driver. Alonso described Verstappen as someone who showed great promise, and he agreed that he was so close to being in the league of great drivers like Michael Schumacher. Mind you, he didn't care to mention Hamilton's name. When you make no mistakes and you deliver the job every Sunday, it's a big respect. I think the next few years will be even better for Max, to be honest. He will keep adding championships, so we will compare him to Michael even closer in the future. And the McLaren driver, Lando Norris, shares the same sentiments. Everyone knows that Verstappen are good friends both on and off the grid. In fact, Lando was recently labelled Verstappen's BFF. Although the McLaren driver snapped back saying they were not BFFs, he couldn't deny that they were good friends. However, their friendship is not the reason he has good things to say about the Dutch driver. Lando truly believes that Verstappen is one of the best drivers ever because of the skills he has shown on the grid. Sometime in 2023, there was an argument about Verstappen's dominance being mainly due to him being in a performing car, and that if tables were turned, he'd be scrambling on the track like the rest of them. But Lando was quick to remind them that he had fought for the title in 2021 despite being in a less impressive car. We should definitely enjoy witnessing something like this. That's better than just complaining because he's doing so well. Of course, it would be nice to see him battle a bit more and work for a living more, but he's proved enough of that when he raced Lewis Hamilton for the championship in 2021. He showed what a fighter he is, and I can say without a doubt that he is easily one of the best drivers ever. We shouldn't take him for granted. Lando himself is an impressive driver, and there have been whispers of him joining Red Bull after Sergio's contract expires. Maybe if that happens, we'll get to see more of what he is capable of. Another driver who has been rumoured to be joining Red Bull in subsequent years is Daniel Ricciardo. Let's hear what he has to say about his potential teammate. The Aussie driver was teammates with Verstappen between 2016 and 2018 at Red Bull. Reports show that the Australian papaya left the team when it seemed like they were leaning towards making Verstappen the lead driver, despite him being on the team longer. Ricciardo was insulted by it and left the team for McLaren. Unfortunately, that turned out to be a terrible move because the next 2 years with McLaren turned out to be the worst 2 years of his career. However, during their time together as teammates, they had a really good relationship. They both respected each other and were always ready to help each other out. This, alongside Verstappen's incredible skills, is the reason Ricciardo genuinely admires the Red Bull driver. In a statement he made recently, he described how much Verstappen remained unchanged despite all of his achievements, and he couldn't help but admire him more. I was teammates with Max for quite a few years, and we always had a pretty good time. Even more so in the last few years. We've got on well. I admire Max for his approach to racing, but also after the success that he's had, particularly over the last few years, he is kind of unchanged. Personality, mindset, whatever it is, like he hasn't really been affected by the success. That is easier said than done, and certainly at this level, I think admirable. But George Russell of Mercedes doesn't think Verstappen is all that. As a driver of one of Red Bull's major rival teams, it's quite understandable that the British driver Russell won't be particularly a fan. However, he has never discredited Verstappen's skills, but he believes several other drivers can perform as well as Verstappen or even better if given the opportunity. In his statement, which shares much similarity to that of his teammate Hamilton, he describes how Verstappen's victories have been quite boring because he has no solid competitors and that because of the Red Bull's car has been in a league of its own. There are 10 drivers you could put in a Red Bull and they fight for victory in the championship in the same way as a Mercedes for the last few years. Even for Max now, for sure he is loving it, but that feeling of crossing the line for the 50th time, winning with not much competition in the last 18 months, and the last 20 victories he has had, maybe the last 10 victories he has had, haven't been fought for. They have been pretty straightforward for him. Even if he starts P10 or P15, it doesn't matter. I am sure he would love to have a victory where he made the last little difference. That is what you all chase. That is when it's the most exciting. But the Ferrari driver Carlos Sainz has had only good things to say about the Dutch driver. Despite being major rivals, the Ferrari driver Sainz has chosen to take the higher road and show his respect for Verstappen. This season, Sainz tried his best to do a lot better with his car after suffering from a major setback in the 2022 season. His improved performance resulted in him going with a Grand Prix win this season. However, Verstappen didn't let him replicate his success as he soon returned to dominate the grid. Nevertheless, Sainz regards it all as healthy competition and he only has good things to say about the Red Bull driver. I think he has had a very strong season. He's made very few mistakes. Whenever he's made mistakes, like in Spain, he spun in the same place as me. In Hungary, he spun. He's recovered from the mistakes and gone on to win. I think this is the biggest difference, that even in the days that he's had maybe a bit of an off, he's still managed to go and win. Going through all the comments made by these drivers, there was one thing they all had in common, the fact that Verstappen was a skilled driver. Although the likes of Russell and Hamilton mostly attributed it to the car he was driving, one thing is for sure. If he wasn't a great driver, there was no way he was going to pull off such a performance. However, in coming years, more competition would arise and Verstappen's true abilities would be revealed. So, what do you think about the Red Bull driver? Let us know in the comments section below.